Hello, I am Jammin Joe, and this is my part 2 playthrough of Cave Story. Before I begin, I want to mention that I did do some research on the game so I can unlock the extra area. I never played through the extra area before, so this will be interesting. I hope you enjoy, and let's begin. After leaving Old Lady Jinka's house, I went straight to the warehouse to stop Balrog. I entered the building only to find King and another Mimiga on the ground. The doctor addressed me and said that he's leaving the two Mimigas that were on the ground as a small gift. Then he teleported away. After leaving, the Mimiga that wasn't King transformed and started attacking me. I talked to King before confronting the enraged Mimiga. All he could say was Toroko in a weak voice. This battle was tough since the enraged Mimiga kept throwing stuff at me. When the thrown block hit a hard surface like a wall, yellow flowers popped out of them. I destroyed the flowers as soon as possible so they would not get in the way. After defeating the Mimiga, it collapsed and shrank back to its normal size. I noticed that it was Toroko before she disappeared. After that, I went to talk to King. He told me that he cannot be of any help to me anymore and asked me to avenge him. He died shortly after and vanished, leaving behind his weapon, the blade. I picked up the weapon and went outside. Balrog came down from the ceiling, landing on top of me. Next thing I knew, I hit the ground. I woke up and started looking around. I ran across some robots and decided to talk to them. I found out that this is where all the island's junk goes. There is also a terminal to the door that is nearby, but it's near the ceiling of the room, and the climb to get to it is very dangerous. I did the treacherous climb and got to the terminal to open up the door. Along the way, I found a life capsule. I used the terminal to open up the door. Then I jumped directly down and went through the door that is now open. While looking through the passageways, looking for a way out, I found the building. I decided to go inside. While inside, there was a bunch of bug-like creatures, like the ones I've been fighting, and most of them didn't really have anything interesting to say. One of them wanted to look at my fireball and polar star, but I said no and walked away. After leaving the building, I continued deeper into this place. Not far, I found a random door and I decided to investigate. Inside, there were two green creatures and Curly. I decided to take a nap in the bed that was next to Curly before talking to her. I was very tired. After my nap, I talked to Curly. She told me that she was sent down here by Misery as well, after failing to defend the Mimigas that she was with. She said that she was too tired and injured to be of any help to me. She seemed a bit sad. I also talked to the green creatures. One of them was a physician and he asked me for a favor. He asked me to go to the old clinic and get some medicine for him, if there was any left. He gave me the key to the clinic and I left to go there. The clinic was right above where they were at. I found the box inside the clinic and looked inside of it to see what was in it. The box contained a cure-all and I grabbed it. Right after getting the medicine, I got attacked by a shadowy figure that looked similar to Balrog. Once defeated, it disappeared into a bunch of dark bubbles. I took the medicine directly to the physician, and he said that he will take care of my friend. I rested and then talked to Curly. She tells me that this place is a legendary labyrinth and the only way out is blocked by a giant rock. She said that she would go with me, but she believed that she would be a burden right now. I hope the physician gets her healed soon. I left Curly to heal and went to find that rock. Along the way, I saw a giant machine. I don't know what it does, and it didn't seem to be active. Continuing further into the chamber, the machine became active and started attacking me. I could not damage it until it opened up its brown shell to attack me. After defeating it, it turns out a large furry creature was operating it. Continuing my search for the giant rock, I found a cavern and saw the professor fall down into it. Considering that there was a flash of light before seeing the professor, this must be Misery's doing. Instead of helping him and being stuck myself, I continued my search. I hope he's okay. I finally found the giant rock, and more importantly, Curly beat me to it, somehow. Talking to Curly, she tells me to help her move it because it's the only way out of the labyrinth. We both tried to lift the rock, but it was too heavy. It did not budge. Right after, Balrog came down from the ceiling. Before he can do anything, Curly asked if he wouldn't mind helping us to move the rock. He surprisingly started to help us out. Then he attacked us, remembering that he was supposed to stop us. He knocked out Curly, and I found myself facing him alone. I defeated him, and not long after, Curly woke up. Balrog agreed to help us with the condition that we won't tell anyone. Curly promised that we won't say a thing. After moving the rock, Balrog left, and the chest fell. It had an upgraded missile launcher. Sweet. After that, Curly and I went through the passageway. We came across a room with a gate in the middle of it. The gate was in an animal's mouth. Curly said it was locked and went ahead of me to the next area. In the next area, there was a couple gates in the way. I found the terminals to open them. At the end of the area, there was an open room. I looked around and found the tow rope. After that, I found where Curly was, and she was standing beside a broken robot. When I talked to her, she mentioned that there was a lot of broken bots in the area. The bot that she was beside became active temporarily, only to explode and knock her out. After that, a giant floating thing attacked me. During the fight, Curly woke up and started to help with the fight. Once the fight looks like it was won, Misery showed up. She said that we were attacking the core of the island and it was the reason why it was floating. The doctor came and told her to teleport it away while there was still a chance to save it. Misery, the core, and the doctor teleported away. Soon after that, the water started to rise in the room and the door leaving was still locked up tight. At some point, I ended up passing out from the lack of air. The next thing I noticed, I was able to breathe again. When I came to, there was a bubble around me. Curly was passed out not far from me. I took the tow rope that I found and tied Curly to me. The gate seemed to open itself up and I left with Curly. On the way back, the gate in the animal-like structure's mouth was open. I went that way since the other passageway was blocked. Along the way, I found a random door. I got to the area where the door was and went inside. There was a bed and some bookshelves in the area. I put Curly on the bed and decided to go through the bookshelves. I was very fortunate to find a book about us and how to take care of a bot that was filled with water. I followed the instructions and drained the water from Curly. She woke up and told me that she gave me her air tank because I fell unconscious and she didn't know what to do. Then she fell asleep. I decided to pick her up and continue to find the way out of the labyrinth. Going deeper by following the water current, I ended up in an open area with a bunch of blocks and fish floating everywhere. I got attacked by a giant fish. After defeating the fish, I lost my grip on Curly and she floated away. I ended up falling into a familiar area. I found the exit of the area I was in and realized I was in Mimiga Village. I went straight to Arthur's house to start looking for Curly. After getting inside, Professor Booster came through the teleporter. He gave me the Booster version 2.0 and asked me to find Sue and to help her escape the island. I went to all the areas I went to before, except to Egg Corridor. I grabbed any item that I missed as well as to look for Curly. I went back to where I got the Polar Star. The guy was awake and was upset that I borrowed it, but was impressed that I was able to use an unfinished gun. He said that I can have it, but first he wanted to finish working on it. I eventually gave up looking for Curly and decided to go to Egg Corridor. It was a mess. Halfway through the area, I had to go into a room to get to the other side. I found the chest in the room, and right after grabbing its contents, I got attacked by two dragons. I defeated them and went on my way. I eventually made it back to the building with the important dragon egg in it. The egg was already hatched like the rest of them. While looking at the terminal, Kazuma came out of the shadows. He was planning on fleeing with this special dragon and asked me if I wanted to join him. I turned down his offer. Outside, I climbed up the side of the floating island. I eventually found a secret room that contained an item called the 290 counter. I don't know what it does. I left the room and continued climbing the outside wall, eventually making up to an area where I can get into the island again. After getting back into the island, I found where most of the Mimigas were being kept. Most of them did not talk to me when I tried to interact with them. I did find Curly in a bed, but when I went to talk to her, she didn't remember who I was. Talking to the guy that was close by, he said that she has lost her memory and that there may be a way to help her regain it back by finding a rumored mushroom. While scouting the area for information, I eventually found the fishing Mimiga. It said that it was going to go fishing because it didn't like the farm. I looked to see where that Mimiga went after trying to talk to a few others. I found the fishing Mimiga in the spring at the bottom near a door. It claimed that it found something and it was in the bucket. It turns out it fished out a key. I jumped to the door that was close by to see if it belonged to it, and unlocked the door and I let myself in. When I tried to use the teleporter, the big orange thing in green clothes that was in the room jumped me. I woke up in jail. One of my jailmates is a Mimiga who opposed the doctor. He said that Sue was taken right before I got up. Before leaving, she slipped a letter in my pocket. After I talked to him again, a passageway opened up and I left the jail. Once leaving jail, I went back to the teleporter room. I wanted to find the mushroom so I can help Curly. I had a pretty good hunch who I needed to talk to, so I went directly to the graveyard. The purple mushroom asked me a series of questions, and after answering all of them, it gave me a mushroom badge. I looked at the badge only to see that it was useless. After confronting it about it, it attacked me. I defeated the mushroom thing and got it as an item. I went to Sand Zone and visited Jinka before heading back to Curly so I can get a life pot from her. After getting back to where the Mimigas are, I went straight to where Curly was and forcefully made her eat the mushroom. It did the trick, and she remembered who I was and told me a little bit about our purpose of being on the island in the first place. I went to the secret room just to remember that I needed to read Sue's letter. In the letter, Sue tells me the secret password to the door to the secret room. I go to the door and use the secret passroom. In the door, there was a woman who said that she was Sue's and Kazuma's mother, and her name was Mamorin Sakamoto. I think that's how you say it. She takes my booster and gives me a Mimiga mask so I can go get some items for her. She wants a sprinkler and a controller from Ito for the rocket she was working on to get to the doctor. I got the items and gave it to her. She told me that it would take a while and said I should go rest. I laid down, and after my night, Momorin and the rocket was gone. I went outside to find the rocket, Momorin, and Ito. The rocket was ready for use. She gave me my booster back, and I jumped on the rocket and activated it, lifting me off. I reached the top and jumped off. I took the only path that was available and went through the door. While going through the door, I felt a black wind on me, and it took away all my experience from my weapons. This area was tough to get through, but I eventually made it with very little health left. While going the only way available, I fought rapid Mimigas and found the shack. I went into the shack to see if there was anything of value. There was a bed, so I took a nap because I knew of the hard fight that was coming. After leaving the shack, I avoided all rapid Mimigas and went to fight the doctor. The first room I went into, I had to fight Misery. She got more aggressive as the fight went on. I defeated her, some blocks appeared, and part of the roof opened, opening a path to the next area. Once up, I came across the doctor. I finally can end this. He showed me what he was working on, a crystal made of red flowers. He said that it will work on humans as well as Mimigas. When the fight starts, he teleports around the room and he uses the crystal to attack me. This was a rough fight. The crystal will sometimes block my attacks. The hardest attack for me to deal with was when he sent red orbs everywhere and they bounce off every surface. I did eventually defeat him. After he loses control of the power of the crystal and goes berserk. This part of the fight is easier than the first. After defeating him a second time, he will disappear into red particles. Another path opens up and I continue forward. I went to the end of the dark room. When I got there, Misery confronted me. She teleported Sue there and threatened to kill her if I didn't leave. During the threat, a voice boomed throughout the room. She questioned who it was. It was the doctor, and a bunch of small red orbs came up from behind her. She got upset because he was trying to cheat death. He decided to turn her and Sue into one of his puppets, as well as fuse himself with the core, starting another fight. During this fight, I focused on Sue first. After making her faint, I started to focus on the core. This entire fight was brutal, and the life pot came in handy. Once the core was defeated, it exploded. It looked like it destroyed Misery as well, and it knocked me out. After I woke up, I saw Sue back into her normal Mimiga form, and the room was shaking. Sue said that we needed to leave and that the room where we were in could collapse at any moment. On my way out, I ran into the shack because the door was open. This is all for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye!